As synchronicity would have it, I've just been in a conversation with the comments on my channel with a long-term viewer who discounts my insistence that we are not living in a physical realm. And Lord knows I've backed up why I say this with a whole array of very, very substantiated evidence from all over the world in many facets of religion, spirituality, science, philosophy, human psychology. There's just a whole myriad of instantiations which are highly, highly suggestible that we're not living in a physical realm. And all people can say in their stupidity and their ignorance when dismissing this is that, this computer's real. You know, it's always the same thing. You jump off a building or you step in front of a bus. Oh my God. I just don't expect to hear that sort of stuff on this channel. Particularly from people that will watch thousands of my videos. I'm really struggling with the human being, with the dullness of their minds and the lack of intelligence and lack of clarity and perception. It just appears that they really cannot step outside of their tiny, myopic, mundane perception of this illusion. I just find it unfathomable. And, you know, I can only reflect that people who say these things are deeply ignorant to other people's experience. Even to quantum physicists, which for over 100 years have told us there's no physical matter here, we can't find it. It just appears to be physical. Okay, we can all accept it appears to be physical. But just because something appears to be so, it doesn't mean it has any reality at all. Like a fucking mirage in the desert doesn't have any reality. It's just a mirage, it's just a shimmering of the heat coming off the sand with your delusionary mind because you're on the point of death maybe through lack of moisture in your body. Oh, I have to take long breaths and I really do have to get cosmic patience. The cosmos, please send me some more patience to deal with these idiots down here. So, as synchronicity would have it, I'm listening to a video which is by Third Eye podcast, a very, very intellectual podcast, and the guest is Andrew Gallimore, who is very, very prominent in DMT research these days. And he's worked with anyone that's been doing work on DMT. He's took it Lord knows how many times. He knows what he's talking about. And he's joined up with Dr. Rick Strassman, who wrote The God Molecule, when he did these tests with people who took intravenous DMT and were in the DMT world for about an hour and 15 minutes each. And what he's saying here in this clip is there's no reason we can think of why we can't extend that. Now, if that's the case, people, and when these people come back, they speak about being raped by crocodiles and being operated on by pterodactyls and praying mantises and all different sorts of wacky stuff, and it's very, very real. Now, for goodness sakes, those of you that insist that this is a physical world, it is just mind. It is just a state of consciousness. When these people take DMT intravenously, then they go into La La Land, DMT world, which is another paradigm of consciousness, another dimension in consciousness, another world with living conscious entities. Now, just listen to what this guy's got to say about this. You guys make me fucking weak, you do. You make me weak.
Any kind of trip reports that came out of it were a bonus. It was just a little nice thing. But the study wasn't really focused on that, I don't think. At least the first paper that they published was purely to show that that it was safe and tolerable.
This is the Rick Strassman.
And the fact that it is that's the biggest takeaway from this, is that you can do this. You can bring someone into the state, you can hold them there, at least for 30 minutes, but that's no reason, there's no indication that that shouldn't be extendable to, you know, an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours, for as long as anyone really can stand it, I guess. And it's like, I always liken it to the difference between scuba diving and deep sea diving. With scuba diving, you have a limited amount of time on your air tank before you have to pop back up. Whereas with deep sea diving, you might have a line that's connected directly to the boat, and you can stay there for a much longer time, and it opens up effectively a whole new underwater world that you can explore in much more detail and for a much longer period of time. And I see it the same with DMTX. What the Imperial study showed was that yes, because you can hold someone in there for such a long time, you can then, you know, the DMT world is your hyperdimensional oyster, so to speak. You can plan experiments. You can think about the two-way transfer of information into and from within the space in real time. You can think about how you measure neural activity in real time and establish communication with the beings, you know, map the geometry and the topological structure of the space. Any kind of experiment that...
So this guy is a neuroscientist.
Or any kind of analysis, any kind of phenomenological or other kind of data is now opened up, I think, because of this technology.
And so what he's saying in all of his videos is that he is very heavily speculating that the DMT entities are conscious entities in their own right and live in their own world. And when we ingest DMT, then we open up a portal for them to come to visit us. And so he's now consulting with people, trying to work out how we could hold conversation with them. Could we manage to hold conversation with them and manage to bring some information back? Could we pose questions to them and, you know, learn more about them? Something like that, instead of being absolutely astonished and bewildered and dumbfounded when we are in the DMT realm, because it's just so bizarre. But if we get used to it, if at all we can get used to it, I haven't managed to get used to it in 200 trips. It just is massively overwhelming every single time. It completely wipes out your ego, so you don't even know you're a human being. But consciousness is there experiencing something, so I don't know how it's ever going to be possible to communicate with these people like they're hoping to. But what he's suggesting there, if we can keep people, scientists can keep people, when they give them DMT intravenously, if they keep the flow of intravenous DMT, they can keep them there for unknown specified period. And he just says 1 hour, 2 hours. Well, what about a lifetime? What about 50 years, 100 years? Because if it's possible, you see, if you have the brain in a jar type scenario. We've all heard of that from philosophers and, you know, the Matrix, that sort of thing, where you've got pods and you've got bodies. They're not living, but they're being fed with experience. And so that's what he's talking about. And I'm saying that's what's going on here, people. We're in some sort of a matrix. We're in some sort of certainly not a physical realm. It's a delusionary realm. It's a conscious created realm, for all we know, we could be brains in jars, and it might not even necessitate a brain to have this human experience. It could just be consciousness en masse, creating its own neurotransmitters without bodies. Who's to say it needs bodies? That's just a fiction of this reality. And when we look into cosmology and varying realms like that, which study, you know, what's out there, quantum physics, looking at dark energy and dark matter and everything, well, they've mapped out a photo taken over, I think, about a 2-week period of the cosmos, and it looks like it looks identical to a human brain with all the neuronal pathways and everything. So they're saying that the cosmos in actual fact is a brain, and so that's all that's going on here, people. The cosmos is the brain, and it's dreaming about avatars. It's dreaming about mini-me's. When you go to sleep at night, you have the mini-me in your brain. It's not a reality, is it? Any more than this is a reality. It's a dreamed up reality. And so when we supposedly die here, that's when we wake up into another world, into another Russian doll. Dreams within dreams within dreams. Wow, come on, people. It's about time you got your head around this stuff. I mean, granted, okay, so I do a lot of research and a lot of reading and this, that and the other. But for those of you that, don't do that, then, for goodness sakes, don't be putting stupid things down about, this is real, this is hard, you jump off a building, you jump in front of a bus, because you just make yourselves look silly.